The new year is a great time to reevaluate your finances and plan for the year. Here is our family sinking funds for 2025. Hey there, I'm Brittany Flammer, a certified financial coach and the creator of Financial Fitness. Sinking funds are just a way of saving up money for irregular expenses. It's great so that when a big expense comes that's not monthly, it doesn't destroy your budget for the month. There are a lot of different sinking funds you could have. There's not a right or a wrong. It's whatever is best for you in your situation. So here are our sinking funds for the year and how much we are going to save. Personally, I like to do this in a spreadsheet. I just type up our sinking funds on the left and type in how much I think we will spend throughout the year, and it does the math for me. It is just an educated guess. It's not perfect, just doing your best guess of what you'll spend throughout the year. Probably the most important sinking fund to have is an emergency fund. And this year we are going to save $0 for that emergency fund. We have a fully funded emergency fund. We don't need to add to it, and we are not planning on spending anything from it. So we're not going to contribute anything towards that. Our next one is life insurance. Now, my life insurance is paid monthly, but my husband his is paid annually. Every fall, I can't remember if it's October or November, we pay for his and we get a discount for doing this. So I wanna go ahead and enter this into the spreadsheet. After looking it up, it is October and it's about $820. So I'm gonna type that in and it's gonna do the math for me. So you can see I need $68 every month to pay for that bill. Next sinking fund for us is house maintenance. And I went through our budget, our spending from last year, and I got exactly how much we spent each month in house maintenance. So I am just copying those numbers here. If I do this, you can see that it adds up to $2,251, which means we would need to save $187 each month. Now, majority of the people when they're doing this don't want to look back at last year's expenses or haven't been budgeting and don't have this option. If this were the case, I would just go through and look at each month and do a guess. So I personally know for us that in the winter we don't spend nearly as much. It's our yard and outside things. So spring and summer and even into the fall are our biggest months, not so much in the winter. So I would just go in and type our best guess. I also know that these are looking at last year's numbers. I also know that we need to replace our washing machine. It's gonna be in the next couple of months. So I'm gonna go in and add some money. I'm hoping we can make it till February. I'm gonna add some money for that. I don't know exactly how much it's gonna cost, but I know we're gonna have to add some in there. So that takes us up to $245 we need each month to be able to pay for all of our house maintenance. I like to round up, so I'm actually gonna round it up to $250. Next up for us is vacation. Now I went back and looked at last year's numbers, but we're doing different stuff. It doesn't add up. So I'm just gonna look at it and see roughly what I think we're going to need for this year. So if you look here, you can see I've got $1,300 in January. We are taking a trip with our family in February and we will pay the bulk of the Airbnb in January. February is when we're actually taking the trip and the Airbnb will have been paid for, but we'll still have some expenses while we're gone. March and April, we don't have anything planned. May, I don't even know why I put $50 there, but there's probably a reason. June, my husband will be doing some traveling for work. We'll need to buy a few things. July is when we're doing another family trip, and I figured it'll be about $1,500. We'll probably do something with his family, something small, a few $100s, either in July or August. So it's not perfect, not rocket scientist, did my best guess. So we're looking at $333 a month for vacation. Next sinking fund for us is clothing. Now this is one that most people don't have as a sinking fund because they spend money every month in the clothing category. We maybe do most months, but not all months. Mostly I feel like it's more seasonal. It kind of goes in cycles and we buy a ton and then for a while we don't buy anything. So I like to include it as a sinking fund. So I have our actual numbers for last year. Once again, if I didn't have the numbers, I would do my best guess. So I just typed in these numbers here. You can see we need $75. I feel like we're always running low, so I'm gonna increase that and we're gonna contribute $100 a month. Next sinking fund for us is gifts. Now this is not birthday gifts necessarily. This is for teacher gifts, baby gifts, wedding shower, wedding invitation, those kinds of gifts. We could include our children's birthday gifts for that. I've got our actual numbers from last year, and if we look at it, it's $20 a month is what we need to set aside, and that seems really low to me. So I'm gonna increase it, and I'm actually gonna do $50 a month, and then maybe we could include our kids' birthday gifts in here. Medical is a sinking fund that we used to have, but we no longer have this. We're getting rid of it because we changed health insurances. We now have a HSA. So we are putting more money each month into our health savings account, and it will roll over and stay with us forever. So we don't need to set aside money. So we were setting aside the money for braces. We are now doing that inside of our HSA. So I'm gonna go ahead and delete that. Next up is car expenses. I am simply going to go through and type what I think they're going to be. I know we have to register our cars. They all have to be registered the same month. And I know it was over $300. So I'm gonna put in $350. We will do a couple of oil changes at some point throughout the year. My husband usually buys all the supplies and does it himself because it's so much cheaper. So once again, a couple times a year we'll need to do some oil changes, register once a year. Best guess, this adds up to about $70. I am going to round up to $100 to cover any minor maintenance. A light bulb goes out, or if we need to buy some fuses, I don't know if that's even a thing. If we need to do minimal stuff, we can do that. We spent a lot more than this last year. We got new tires on all of our vehicles, so we don't have anything major planned, but little stuff always comes up. Next up is Christmas, and we're actually not going to set aside anything for Christmas. We get cash back on our credit card. We save that throughout the year, and then that's our budget for Christmas. If we know we're gonna do something big, then I will start setting aside some more money if we need more money than our cash back. Next, and probably the largest sinking fund for us, is our kids' extracurriculars. Now, a lot of their stuff is paid monthly, like we pay for lessons every single month. But majority of the stuff for our kids is more seasonal. We pay for our son's competitive soccer in the fall for the fall and spring season. We pay for our daughters in the fall. We pay for rec leagues throughout the year, but not monthly. So I like to have a sinking fund for this, and it's huge. The more kids and the older they get, the more expensive they get. So I've got our numbers for our kids' extracurricular from last year, and I was gonna paste them in here, but we have 2 kids doing competitive sports, and this next year we're only gonna have 1 kid doing competitive. Our oldest is done, so that significantly cuts the cost. So I don't know exactly what our expenses will be. I am just guessing. So I've typed in our expenses, probably a little bit high, but I'd rather err on the side of too much money than not having enough. So this means we would need to set aside $429 a month. So we have gone through and figured out we're gonna need just over $7,000 for our sinking funds, which is almost $600 a month. So as of right now, we are planning on setting aside almost $600 a month. Now I'm gonna go through and I will plan our annual budget. I've got a video showing that to make sure we have room in the budget for all of that. If I find we don't have enough room to cover all of these, then we'll have to cut back a little bit. I rounded up. I'm pretty sure our kids' extracurriculars is a little high, so if I need to, I can cut back on that. Or we didn't need all of that money for car maintenance. I can cut back a few places if I need to. Or if I go in our budget and find I have more than I need, I can increase some of them. The vacation one, that's the one I would increase. Anyway, make sure you're subscribed and hit the bell so that you see my annual budget, how I do it. Stay tuned for my monthly budgeting updates. Thanks so much for watching. See you in the next video.